Alright folks, here we are at the official Yamaha motor press introduction for Yamaha's 2024 Tenere 700. This is Yamaha's middleweight adventure touring motorcycle that came to the US for the 2021 model year. For the 2024 model year, it has a couple nice improvements designed for us riders, beginning with the 5-inch color TFT. We also have Bluetooth pairing, so you can pair this motorcycle with your iOS or Android powered smartphone via Yamaha's Y Connect app. Nice. Love the sound of that. Here is the mechanical key. Yamaha updated this key for the 2023 model year. It used to have the older style trapezoid almost shape. Now it's got this more meaty design. I really like that this motorcycle has a mechanical key. I'm not a keyless key fob kind of motorcycle rider. Nothing is better than a mechanical key. This plastic switchgear is also new. It houses Yamaha's multi-wheel controller that it's been using on other motorcycles like its YZF-R1 since the 2015 model year. We've talked about it before. We're not big fans. We were big fans of this in 2015, but nowadays it just lacks the tactile feel to really make it totally awesome. All right, folks, and away we go. This 2024 Yamaha Tenere 700 has a really nice ergonomics. The handlebar is nice and upright. It's not too wide. It's not too narrow. And the sweep is pretty neutral. It's got a little bit of rearward sweep, but you can tell it's more off-road oriented with the lack of rearward sweep. We're using Yamaha's accessory tall rider seat. So this seat boosts the seat height and is really good for taller riders over 6 foot tall. So if you're a taller person, you're gonna like this seat. It just positions you a little bit higher and makes the bike a little bit easier to ride in precarious terrain. Really like how thin this motorcycle is between your legs. This is definitely a more off-road oriented adventure touring bike. How's it going over there?
Hi.
Good. Where's your vlog? Where's your camera?
Right here, man.
Nice. Yeah, Ryan, he's working on being a YouTube celebrity right now, so he's got his new camera and he's vlogging. What's your channel, man? What's your channel? Everyone's getting into vlogging. Engine. This bike is powered by Yamaha's tried and true 689cc parallel twin. It's water cooled, dual overhead camshafts with an 8-valve cylinder head. This motorcycle employs a cross-plane crankshaft that gives an engine an uneven firing order. This helps make this engine feel like a V-twin with its power pulses, even though it is an inline engine. Now, the uneven firing order makes the engine sound way cooler. It also gives it a lot of low-end power. That's really what is so neat about these Yamaha CP class engines, is they have a lot of low and mid-range power, which is really good for motorcycles because it allows them to get up and running really easily. Now, this engine's good for right around 62 horsepower at the business end of the Pirelli Scorpion Rally STR 18-inch tire. So right around 62 horsepower and over 40 pound-feet of torque at a very low RPM. So this thing has got some get up and go, especially at low speed. It puts power back to the 18-inch rear wheel via a 6-speed gearbox and this cable actuated clutch. The clutch does not benefit from slipper action function, so you really have to mind your manners when you're downshifting and make sure that the engine's not revving crazy style, because this motorcycle the rear wheel will lock up if you downshift in too low of a gear for your vehicle's speed traveled. It's not really a big deal because it's an adventure touring bike, but something to make note of, that this bike doesn't have a slipper clutch. The gear ratios on this motorcycle are a little bit, they're not crazy low, but they're a little bit lower than a typical street bike. And you have to remember, this bike is designed for off-road use. It's designed to go up crazy obstacles, and that's the deal. That was awesome. As you can see, this motorcycle is very easy to wheelie. That 689cc CP2 engine is extremely playful, and it makes it fun and easy to ride. I love this engine. If you've ever ridden this motorcycle engine configuration in Yamaha's MT-07, you'd be amazed, because the MT-07, you can literally wheelie in the first 5 gears. So out of the 6 gears that bike has, you can literally wheelie them in gears 1 through 5 if you know what you're doing. So very wonderful and playful engine. Probably the only gripe we have with this engine is there is a moderate level of vibration that you can feel through the handlebar and the foot pegs. I wouldn't say it's excessive. In typical Yamaha fashion, the engine vibration's tuned. You have to remember, Yamaha comes from a rich musical heritage, and they literally tune the vibration and the harmonic of the engine. So I wouldn't say that the vibration on this vehicle is too much, but you definitely feel it through the controls. I'd say it kind of adds to the experience and just makes for a more playful riding motorcycle. So here we are on the freeway. We're riding at 83 miles per hour in top gear. Now, this is another one of our gripes on this motorcycle. This motorcycle, even though it is an adventure touring bike, this motorcycle isn't really designed for extended freeway use. The wind protection is on the more minimal side. Yes, it has this narrow windscreen, but it's relatively short. The forward body panels don't really give the rider much of a pocket to have clean air. You feel a lot of the turbulence go through the fairing. So if you're looking for a motorcycle that's going to be really comfortable for long freeway rides, this Tenere 700 isn't it. But if you're looking for an adventure touring bike that's really good off-road, you're going to like this bike. We'll get to that in a little bit. This motorcycle does not have cruise control. Cruise control would be a nice feature on this bike, but we don't have it. We do like this new 5-inch color TFT display. This is a big upgrade versus the monochrome design of the 4. We like that it has a fuel gauge to keep tabs on the 4.2 gallon fuel tank. We have engine coolant temp, air temp. I love air temp. That digital swept face tachometer and a gear position indicator along with speed. Gear position indicator could be a little bit bigger, but at least there is one. We will show you how to go through the menu functions later. You can literally roll down this screen here, the scroll button, and you can see your average fuel economy. We're getting 33.4 mpg. Instant fuel economy 43 mpg, and trip economy. So nice that there's some features and some riding metrics here. It would be cool if it had a distance to empty gauge, though. I think that would be a neat feature. But still nice to know that we have some level of fuel economy accounting on the display. Now, with a full 4.2 gallons of fuel, this motorcycle weighs 452 pounds. So it's relatively light for an adventure touring bike. I would say that's pretty light. It definitely feels light with the wheels in motion. I really like how narrow this motorcycle is. While the narrowness to some degree compromises its freeway capability in terms of comfort, it's still nice having a narrow bike because it's really easy to go between traffic like we are here, and just makes the motorcycle feel smaller and lighter than its 452 pound curb weight would make you think. Alright folks, we're going to be on this freeway for a while. We will check in with you folks in a little bit. Alright folks, we are off the boring freeway and on the side streets. And while this motorcycle isn't really in its element for extended freeway rides, around town, stoplight to stoplight, it is totally capable of that. Again, the lower gearing really helps this bike just jump off the line. It's very nimble and apt to change directions, and the triple disc hydraulic brakes do a good job of shedding the 452 pounds of velocity on this motorcycle. Around town, this motorcycle is actually a really nice bike. It's also worth noting that in typical Yamaha form, I shouldn't say typical because the old Yamaha YZF R1 used to throw off an insane amount of engine heat onto the rider, but this motorcycle doesn't throw off any engine heat to the rider, so it's a really comfortable motorcycle to ride in hot weather. You don't have to worry about the engine throwing off a ton of heat. Alright folks, we took a quick break here at the trailhead here before we climb this mountain grade. The Yamaha motor folks wanted to reduce the air pressure in the 21-inch front and 18-inch wheels, get the air pressure down a little bit so it has a little bit more plushness against the dirt. They also wanted to adjust the suspension. It's worth noting that this bike features fully adjustable suspension. Well, not fully. The fork, you can't adjust the preload, but you can adjust the compression and the rebound damping. The fork also has dirt bike style air bleeds atop the fork cap, so you can balance the air pressure from the outside ambient pressure to inside in the fork tube. I wish street bikes had that. I know that's a strange feature for street bike people, but that is a cool feature. I wish all bikes had that, but it's cool that this Tenere 700 has it. There is the shock down there with the linkage. The shock has preload adjustment, compression, and rebound damping, and it has a handy preload adjustment knob back there, so you can adjust the preload without any tools. It's kind of hard to see, but that's that. And we can disable the ABS by holding in this button and going to ABS mode. This is a new setting. Before you could disable ABS. Now you can adjust ABS so you can have front ABS on but rear ABS off. That's kind of neat. So you can adjust things to your liking. Really like the suspension on this motorcycle. We talked about it in depth in our other previous videos that live on the Motorcyclist Mag YouTube channels, in our comprehensive written editorial on the Motorcyclist online website. That's Yamaha's secret sauce. The suspension on this vehicle is on the softer side. And while I say softer side, you might be like, well, it's too soft for us fast guys. The soft suspension allows the tires to really hook up in slippery terrain. So if you're an ADV rider who doesn't have a lot of experience riding off-road, you're going to like this bike because the soft-ish suspension really just boosts traction when you're riding on the crappy surfaces. Conversely, if you're an expert or pro-level rider, for sure the suspension is one of the areas that could be improved for you, but it's not so soft that the bike's gonna be unrideable. For sure, the shock action is a little fast, even when you add rebound damping, but the suspension is really not gonna be a limiting factor for where this motorcycle is gonna be able to be ridden. Now, our 2024 Tenere 700 is configured with Yamaha's accessory quick shifter. This quick shifter allows for full throttle upshifts without having to use the clutch. Downshifts still have to be made the old-fashioned way. That accessory is $200, and it's an easy plug-and-play accessory for this Tenere 700. A lot of big bumps on this trail, but the inverted fork and linkage equipped shock do a good job of gobbling up this beat up terrain. Really like the ergonomics on this motorcycle. When you're in this standing position, this motorcycle feels very much like a dirt bike. The fuel tank and the chassis of the vehicle is very slim and easy to grip with the rider's legs. Of course, having a bike that's easy to grip really makes it easier to ride in precarious terrain because you can squeeze your legs against the bike. It helps afford more control. The handlebar, we talked about how it doesn't have a lot of rearward sweep. It's pretty neutral bend. and it works good for us at 6 foot tall. The bend isn't too high nor too low. It's just a real comfortable bike to ride in the standing position. The foot pegs are nice and meaty. We have the rubber inserts fitted inside the foot pegs. We probably should have removed them, but if you were a serious off-road rider, you can remove those rubber inserts, and that just gives you more contact patch between the sole of your boot and the foot peg. Really helps afford more grip in treacherous terrain. To be fair, this terrain isn't overly treacherous. The main treacherous thing is just the dust. Still, it's cool to be able to have a bike that's really easy to control. At 452 pounds, this thing feels nice and light. This is a very agile and light feeling middleweight ADV bike. That cross-plane crankshaft and uneven engine firing order just allow this engine and 18-inch rear wheel combo to be hooked up. Really feel like you have a lot of control of this motorcycle. Whoa, as I hit a big bump with the front tire. It's worth noting that this Tenere 700 continues to not include traction control. Perhaps one of the reasons it doesn't is because, contrary to other Yamaha motorcycles, this MT-07 powertrain does not benefit from Yamaha's chip-controlled throttle, YCCT. That was technology that Yamaha fitted. I believe they fitted it on its Wave Runner, and then it made its way to the 2006 YZF R6. Well, fast forward however many years that's been. God, that's been a long time. And this bike still doesn't have YCCT. It has a fully mechanical connection between the engine and the throttle bodies. Yet still, even with that analog setup, throttle response is pretty dang good. Woo! Whoa, got some bumps. This Tenere 700 is tackling them pretty well. Now we have nice plastic hand guards to protect our mitts from the cold, chilly weather, also from brush, and of course help protect the levers in case of a tip over. We're not going to take any tip overs today, no way. I love that engine, tons of torque on tap. This is a really easy middleweight ADV bike to ride off-road. Wow, look at that view, folks. Look how beautiful that is. Wow. The places motorcycles take you, so neat. As I mentioned before, this vehicle rolls on a 21-inch, 18-inch wheel combo. That is standard off-road wheel sizes. 21, 18-inch wheel combo is great because it's the same wheel size as a dirt bike. And it allows you access to real off-road knobby tires. And while we're using the OE fitted Pirelli Scorpion Rally STRs, which is a good 50-50 tire for mixed on and off-road use, you can fit dirt bike style knobs onto this bike if you really want to get after it off-road. Now, even though this bike does have spoked wheels, the wheels are of tubed design. So these aren't tubeless wheels. Some folks love tubeless wheels, others don't. One nice thing about having tube wheels is if you get a flat, it's easy to repair. That as long as you bring an extra tube with you during the course of the ride. We have rear ABS currently disabled, so front ABS is on, rear ABS disabled. I think it's kind of nice having front ABS. You don't have to worry about the front wheel locking up. Honestly, it's not, I wouldn't say it's difficult to lock up the front wheel, but it also, if you use the front brake, if you don't have a lot of experience with the front brake and the amount of pressure needed to avoid lockup, having ABS is a real advantage for that. Really like the triple disc brake package on this motorcycle. The brakes they have some decent feel to them. Of course, this non-radial master cylinder, a radial master cylinder would definitely boost the brake power and feel, but for an ADV off-road bike, I don't really think it's necessary. Wow, folks, this is awesome. There's actually a little bit of moisture in this dirt. You can see it. That's why I love riding ADV style motorcycles, because these motorcycles just take you off the beaten path and you get to see more than what you can see from the road. Well, folks, that was some good off-roading on the Tenere 700. This thing is a really easy riding middleweight ADV. It's nearly 8 inches of suspension travel up front and just over that out back. Do a great job of gobbling up the road. Yes! Love this bike. This bike is one easy bike to ride. One caveat was the ABS, like before, every time you cycle the motorcycle on or off, the ABS resets. So you have to go into the menu, you have to press the ABS off one time, and then you have to do a long hold every time. It's kind of hard to remember to do that. At least it was for us today. And if you don't have ABS disabled, it can get a little bit scary when you're going down terrain with loose soil. Speaking of soil, I almost soiled myself when I was going down that loose terrain when I tried to actuate the brake and the vehicle wasn't really slowing down as quickly as I needed it to. In that situation, it's always good to let off the brake and apply it again with gentle pressure. Yamaha, can we please have a button right here? You just press it and ABS is just off forever. That's what we would like to see. Yamaha motorcycles are renowned for their durability, so it's no surprise that this 2024 Tenere 700 goes the distance between service. Now, after the initial 600-mile service, engine oil should be replaced every 4,000 miles, while the spin-on oil filters replaced every other oil change at 8,000-mile increments. Oddly enough, Yamaha also recommends you change the spark plugs at 8,000 miles. However, the air filter can go 24,000 miles, and valve adjustment interval is at 26,600 miles. Isn't that crazy? That this motorcycle can go that distance between valve inspection gap clearance check. Pretty neat. This Tenere 700 also comes with a 1-year manufacturer's warranty, and it's built in Japan, so you know it is of super high quality. As usual, this bike is extremely capable. It is very easy to ride. It is nimble, it's compact. The CP2 689cc powertrain offers a lot of torque. It's very friendly, it has a nice character. This motorcycle is a really great middleweight adventure touring bike for someone who wants an easy riding bike that is equally capable on-road and off-road. For sure, the suspension is definitely set up on the softer side of things, but honestly, that softer suspension setup allows this bike to find grip where other adventure touring bikes are going to be slipping and sliding, and I really like that. Of course, if you're a more advanced rider, you could always opt for aftermarket suspension tuning. We'd probably revalve the shock mainly and make it slower. The rebound action of the shock is pretty fast, even if you add max damping to it. But still, for a baseline motorcycle that is capable for a wide spectrum of riders, this Tenere 700 is a great bike, especially at $10,800. Yeah, it's $800 more than the model was when it was introduced for 2021, but still, in the middleweight ADV class, $10,700 is a heck of a value. Well, folks, that wraps up our official review. As always, make sure to surf on over to motorcyclistonline.com, where we have multiple review articles on this bike and its predecessor. Also, make sure to check out the Motorcyclist Mag YouTube channel. We have hours and hours and hours of video reviews with commentary that you're not going to find anywhere else on the internet. So check out that content if you're interested in purchasing one of these bikes. And thanks for riding with us. We'll see you in the next episode.